Moin, ihr wunderbare Menschen des Interwebs. Ich begrüße euch ganz herzlich zurück zu meinem Let's Play von The Great Ace Chronicles. Es gab eine Verhandlungspause oder es ist eine Verhandlungspause gerade. Und wir werden uns einmal anhören, was die Herrschaften zu sagen haben. Oh, there you are, Otto. What kept you, my dear fellow? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you know. You sure about what you said in there? That the boss actually died the day before? Pretty hard to swallow. Yes, I was shocked by the revelation too, Nina. As was I, possibly more shocked than both of you. Not a competition, Mr. Sholmes. But I was more shocked than all of you put together. This is the autopsy report in question, is it? Yes, it's strange that there is no time of death noted. Suppose there is a simple explanation, or perhaps it was a deliberate omission? Here, if it was deliberate, it puts me in mind of the last case we worked on, Forsyth. I know. Anyway, it seems that on the day before, Lord Francis covered his body. Inspector Gregson was investigating the red-headed leak, so perhaps something happened with them. Come to think of it, you had trouble with those leak men too, didn't you, Mr. Sholmes? You were taken in by their trick. Naturally, I wasn't taken in, as you put it. My newfound interest was merely piqued slightly by the raw scent of a weekly £4 income. And that scent masked underlying scent of deception, I suppose. The two criminals in question are the pair we saw being arrested yesterday, aren't they? Mr. Sholmes' suit, I mean. That's right, Sus, and it was me who took him in. Thanks to a tip-off by a good law-evident citizen. Indeed, yours truly. Be that pair in the witness stand next, is it? Something doesn't quite make sense to me, though. The day before Inspector Gregson was found, he hadn't had trouble with the red-headed league yet. Look at you. Why would the inspector have been investigating them? Well, the likely explanation would be that Gregson's own sleuth-hound interest was piqued by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income. Don't tar him with the same brush as you, Sholmes. Yes, well, then there's the idea of Inspector Gregson being investigated by Lord Francis for his son. The Reaper, the red-headed league, Gregson, Lord Francis, and Kazuma. I feel as though he knew we'd arrive at this point somehow. You're right. You're really trying to teach here today. All the answers will soon be revealed. Observe the time, my dear fellow. This recess will be over very shortly. Yes, you're right. Kazuma was determined that he should be the one to prosecute this trial, and he was determined that I should take the defense. Just what is it that he's hoping to make? I wonder. I get the feeling we're a long way from the end of this trial yet. Are you ready then, Miss Susato? Yes. Susato ist immer bereit. Ja, ich möchte keine weiteren Spekulationen anstellen, was Kazuma ist, was Kazuma verfolgt. Ich werde mich da jetzt einfach überraschen lassen. Ich hoffe, dass er uns das einfach am Ende mal. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed court hearing of Barak von Zieks, here present, who stands accused of murder. Now then, Prosecutor Ryunosuke, have you summoned the witness as requested? Yes, the two members of the Red-Headed League who planned and carried out the deception. They arrived not long ago from the local prison by police carriage. Very good. Khalif ushered the two men into the courtroom. These two men are currently being held by the police on suspicion of attempted extortion. You may omit your occupations, but state your names now for the court. I am Fabienne de Ross. Du heißt jetzt Fabienne de Rosso bei mir. A descendant of the great Rosso family from France. And my name is Peppino de Rossi. I am the third son of the great Famiglia de Rossi, the landowners from Napoli. The two men first became acquainted at a boarding school for European nobility. Those who graduate from Temsky are the future leaders of Europe. But do you have any idea how boring it is to be born with noble blood? I make it my mission to get the better of the world by employing the little grey cells of my brain. That is all I'm trying to do. So, that's the only reason for this whole grand deception you've been carrying out? Oui, you could say that. Not bad, huh? He has the grand ideals, but the petty plans. This strange combination is a charm of the hilarious brothers. See, Capo? Capo? Listen to me, Peppino. I have two things to say to you. See, are you about to tell me one of your grandy anecdotes? Firstly, I want you to stop calling me this Capo, and secondly, we are not the Aralur's brothers. This is serious business. Hey bello, there it is. The Capo's Rapacard, the furrowed bro. It is steep, eh? Capo the furrow and the meaning of your words. The court has been led to believe that under the banner of the Red-Headed League, you have conspired to swindle money from unsuspecting members of the public. Is this true? Oui. And what exactly was the nature of this deception by which you planned to defraud? Allora, I will explain it. Leave it to me. As you see, we both have the vivid red hair now. At school we were teased for this without pity. The Capo here, he was many times behind the schoolhouse crying like the Trevi fountain. Those dogs, one day the world will respect us redheads. Every night he would bury his head in the pillow and we... De bien, Peppino, enough. I will explain the rest. The first step was the newspaper advertisement. About 1 week before the plan was put into operation, we listed the same notice in every paper in London. Yes, we saw that notice. It was this one, I believe, entitled To the Red-Headed League. I am honored that you have seen it. It states that the only condition for joining the league is having flame-colored hair. And that if you satisfy the interview panel and are admitted into the league, you could receive a weekly income of £4. On the date specific, red-headed hopefuls gathered in droves at a park specified in the advertisement, and from each person present, this pair took an application fee of 5 shillings. And with the money to France, it planned most elegant, no? No, it was most dishonorable. But to be frank, I'm stunned anybody was foolish enough to be taken in by such an obvious trick. The park was described by one witness as chocked with red-headed folk, like a coaster's orange sparrow. And the day on which all these men gathered to apply was the day before the victim was discovered. Crucially, these two men spoke face to face with every single person present that day. I have seen no more red-headed people in one day than I will see in the rest of my life. See, and now every time I see the Capo's hair, I feel sick to my stomach. Anyway, why have we been summoned here today? Sorry. The date for our trial was not until tomorrow, I was told. Naturally, neither of these men have been told any details about this trial. They have only been shown this photograph. Very good. So, Mr. De Russo and Mr. De Rossi, you will now give your formal testimony for the court on the subject of the gentleman pictured in this photograph. Of course, we are always ready to help we star. Totally. Okay. Was ihr zwei hier zu sagen habt? We had more than 1,000 red-headed people assemble in the park on Lime Street that day. But I don't recall the man in this photograph. Aye, Kappa? No, I don't remember him. Obviously dead now, but I assure you, he was not in the park. Allora, this... whatever. This victim has nothing to do with us. You have a lot to answer for, Pepino. It is your fault that we got caught in the first place. You've given sworn testimony that this man in the photograph was not present. Can you be certain? Oui, I'm quite certain we did not interview this man. Nobody looking like this came to the park, I can promise. It must be noted that you have been arrested for a grand deception, however. Accordingly, this court has little confidence in your assurances. With this attitude, we get an over. Really is talking now. This confidential document was obtained directly from Scotland Yard. It records an entry from the inspector's private diary dated the day before the incident. It reads, a Lime Street Red-Headed League undercover. Ah, I have the answer. Maybe there was another similar event in the park on the day in question, eh? That is ridiculous. There's no question that Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League. Which means it's quite possible that's when he was killed. Very well, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination now. Ah, yes, my lord. Okay. Okay. Also, add more than... but I don't recall the man in this photograph. Auch nicht. No, I don't remember him, and I'm obviously dead now, but I assure you he was not in the park. But according to what you've said, you spoke with 1,000 or more people that day. Oui, that's true. My eyes were burning by the end of the day. Surely then, you can actually remember every single face. How are you so certain that this particular man wasn't present? Normally, the red hair is very distinctive, but not when you have 1,000 redheads crowding around, then it is just an eyesore. But if there was some other information you could give us, maybe then we would call. That is not the line, Peppino. Remember, we do not remember him. We are sure of that factor. If there was a man with a red hairpiece, but his mustache did not match the color, then I do not think I could have forgotten him. Kazuma said these two had only been shown that photograph, and they had been told nothing else at all. But what if I fed them just one other detail about the victim, for example? His name, his profession, his fish and chips. Fish and chips. Der Name könnte doch... Der Name sollte eigentlich nicht weiterhelfen, weil ich glaube nicht, dass Gregson mit seinem Namen dahin gegangen wäre. Weil ja, wenn er undercover dahin geht, wird er wohl nicht seinen richtigen Namen verwenden. Fish and Chips, ja, würde ich jetzt mal so behaupten, ist zwar sein Markenzeichen, aber kann ich mir jetzt nicht vorstellen. Denke mal Profession. I can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in this situation, but what if I told you that the man in the red hairpiece was actually a detective? The man in the photograph, a detective? Yes. It would appear he found your notice in the paper suspicious and decided to investigate incognito. Sorry, but this changes nothing. Something to add, Mr. De Rossi? See, I am always adding something. Parmesan, olive oil, pepper. What I mean is, did you not agree with your friend's last remark by any chance? What did he just say about the detective? Yes, that. Keep your mouth shut, Peppino. You have said enough already. But why, Capo, what is the problem? There was a man who said, I am an inspector from Scotland Yard. What? Explain this bold-face in your testimony, witness. It's simple. A man who was at the park. There was no such man. What are you saying, Capo? Have you forgotten, I have forgotten nothing. Nobody like this came to the park. Basta, Capo, basta. You beat me at many things, but not two. The memory and the meals. Ich weiß auch nicht, was gerade... Ich hab grad so ein richtiges Super Mario-Akzent. Like I said, when it's time to eat the pasta, no one is the faster. Wenn ich das durchlese, klingt das mir italienisch. But you're inferior to me in every other way, so shut up. The damage is done. Indeed it is, sir. Oui, there was a man who came to the park and he said he was an inspector from Scotland Yard. However, he looked nothing like the man in the photograph. He was someone else. How can you be so sure? Because, to start with, his face was completely different. See, it's true. The man who came was a younger. His face was clean-shaven, his eyes were sadder, his chin was thinner. No resemblance whatsoever, then. Anyway, I was not going to be fooled. I took the obvious precaution and said to him, if you're really a detective, show us the proof. See, the capo here, he doesn't take a nonsense, eh? But he was well prepared. He said he had identification. Identification? You mean official police inspector's identification? That is most unconvincing. Sorry, my lord. Counsel, no incognito inspector would offer his identification for inspection. It's quite out of the question. Ja, ich meine, auch kein Inspektor würde inkognito sagen, ich bin ein Inspektor, der undercover ermittelt. Definitely. Why would he expose his true identity? Clearly the papers were fake. You're a genius. As we say in Italia, it takes a thief to recognize another, eh? Wo ist Italiener? Oh, dann passt das ja. What happened after he announced that he was a detective? He became very annoying. He said you were under investigation. So I took his paper from him and chased him out of the park. It was fantastico. And look, here he says the identification. So you stole it from the man? He had it coming. He made us very scared. But he was not that he was. Indeed, the person described does not appear to have behaved as a true inspector would. However, I believe it would be prudent for these identification papers to be entered into evidence. But I like them. Okay, the inspector's identification has been entered into court records. Now, let us return to the witness's testimony. Ja, ich möchte mir gleich einmal die Papiere angucken. So, this victim is a nothing with us. So, Moment. Gucken wir uns das einmal an. Well, I suppose we should see what this inspector's identification looks like inside. Yes, it definitely looks fake, doesn't it? Interesting. Then probably just something plucked out of the air. It's Tobias Gregson. Wait, what? The Scotland Yard looks genuine. But how? Apartment and identification number detail. Well, those. You mean to say? I know it seems incredible, but yes, I think this is a genuine item by Scotland Yard. But that's believable. The real? The raw? Mehr gibt's aber nicht, aber... Hä? Ich hätte jetzt vielleicht gedacht, dass da sein Undercover-Name draufsteht oder so, aber doch nicht, dass das jetzt sein echter Ausweis ist. Warum sollte Gregson denn vorzeigen? Achso, Moment. Ja, dann, aber Moment, dann kann ich den ja jetzt hier vorzeigen, ne? Allura, this victim is nothing to do with us. Das ist ja Inspektor Gregsons Ausweis. Also hat er ja sehr wohl was mit euch. I wonder if I could ask you to examine this identification book very closely. Miss Lestrade? Why, Miss Lestrade? What is your intention here, Counsel? Is this really a fake or is it genuine? That's the question. Which we can't answer ourselves. Don't be ridiculous. No Scotland Yard detective would allow his or her identification to be stolen. That is the boss's. No questions about it. As I suspected. The undercover detective who attended the Red-Hatted League's enrollment on the day in question was the real Inspector Gregson. Carrying out an incognito investigation. But the boss had his identification stolen. Would have reported it straight away. I mean, he was always on at me about it. If you lose something, report it at once, he'd say. Would it be then that the inspector was physically unable to report it? What are you saying? Unable to? You're not suggesting... Yes, it's quite possible that he was killed before he had the chance to report his identification stolen. The defense posits that the victim was killed the day before his body was discovered at a different location. Do you two have anything to say about that? I know nothing. I done nothing. Pull yourself together, Peppino. Mon Dieu, you can behave a little more like a master criminal than that, no? Now I wish I had returned to Italia. Stop crying, Peppino, please. Otherwise Oh meh, stop your whining and start talking. Well, I believe the court will need to hear your story and consider... I know nothing. I done nothing. But you will tell everything, or face the worst possible outcome. You will dry your eyes and testify again. About these identification papers and the precise circumstances under which you came by them. Crying out loud. Okay. The Detective and the Identification. Das ist die nächste Zeugenaussage. Und mit der werden wir im nächsten Part weitermachen. Ich kann mir beim besten Willen nicht vorstellen, dass die beiden Inspector Gregson umgebracht haben. Das glaube ich nicht. Ich kann mir auch immer noch nicht ganz... dass Gregson selber dort war. Ich könnte mir schon vorstellen, dass Gregson da schon bereits gestohlen hat. Also, dass Gregson da bereits vielleicht schon tot war. Vor allem, weil die beiden auch die Person komplett anders beschrieben haben. Aber ja, müssen wir mal gucken. Das ist jetzt nur so meine Spekulation. Ob die wahr ist, müssen wir noch herausfinden. Aber mit dieser Zeugenaussage geht es weiter. Ich bedanke mich ganz herzlich fürs Zusehen, hoffe, ihr hattet Spaß und wenn ihr mögt, sehen wir uns sehr, sehr gerne im nächsten Part wieder. Bis dahin, ciao!